Meanwhile, the High Court is currently deciding on another abortion-related case, this one out of Massachusetts.
A law there forces pro-life protesters to stand at least 35 feet away from abortion clinics. And as Paul Strand explains in tonight's Focus Report, next week the Supreme Court justices will weigh in on whether that's constitutional.
If you try to change a woman's mind about an abortion and cross this line outside a clinic in Massachusetts, you could end up in jail. 7 years ago, the state declared 35-foot bubble zones to keep protesters away from those entering abortion clinics. Now the U.S. Supreme Court will take up whether those zones violate the free speech of Americans who want to talk about abortion, especially with the women who may be going to abort their babies.
It takes away the person-to-person aspect of it and puts you at a distance.
Ray Neary believes pro-life advocates like himself have saved hundreds of babies by getting close enough to the mothers to talk and reason with them. The bubble zone takes that away.
You have to yell at them as though you're in opposition to them, and you're not. You're trying to save that child that's in that womb.
So right here is literally the front line in the battle for American rights, because any pro-life American on this side of that line can say anything they want. But if they step over this line, now it's illegal speech.
We pray that this freedom may be one.
Reverend Paul Schenck fought a similar case all the way to the Supreme Court.
Imagine calling out to someone from 35 feet away in public space, no less. It's impossible to carry on the kind of quiet conversation that a situation that is this dire requires.
Jeff and Tricia Bradford were 5 months away from getting married when they found out they were pregnant, which they thought would be humiliating to acknowledge at their wedding.
We had believed all the lies. There was just a blob of tissue. And so we went to the wedding really not wanting just to embarrass our family.
They hid the killing for 15 years, but now share about it openly. They say they believe someone intervening would have changed their mind about the abortion.
If somebody would have stayed with us, would have stood in the gap, I believe we would have a 20-year-old little girl here today.
Evidence proves a heart-to-heart talk can really make the difference. Marylander Linda Rubus felt God prompt her to call her daughter one night, and Linda discovered her daughter was at an abortion clinic.
I said, honey, God doesn't make mistakes. I said, you need to save this child. You need to save this baby. It'll be a blessing.
Linda's daughter saved her own child and more.
She left there, but before she left, she spoke to 2 other girls there about saving their babies too.
And science now gives pro-lifers factual information to share what a complex human life is growing within the pregnant woman's body. Linda Potoshnik is another Maryland pro-lifer.
The little baby at 6 weeks has 1 billion cells, for heaven's sakes, and more information within his little body. His DNA has more information than any word ever spoken, every word ever spoken by every human being who's ever lived since the beginning of time.
Meanwhile, the fight goes on in Massachusetts to put a needle in the 35-foot bubble zone law.
I've always said that a woman does not have an abortion because she's pro-choice. She has the abortion because she feels she has no choice. And what the sidewalk counselor is doing is making that last effort to reach out to her in kindness and love and offer her the support she needs to give her child life. Well, you can't do that from 35 feet away.
Paul Strand, CBN News, Boston.